baby. Okay, we're back. We're back, and it's also probably here for the first time. My name is James Cumins, and I don't really know what this podcast is called yet. I think it might be called Uncut Jams. It might be called The Juicy James Show, which my producer has said is a bad name.
I didn't say it was bad. I just said I'm going to hold off on the producer name.
You're anti-juicy.
It's just a little bit sus. I don't know.
It's a little bit sus, but I just feel like we're going to be getting into some juicy topics. You know
That's
what I mean?
fair, that's
I
fair.
also I'm just a big fan of Juicy J.
That's true, too. That's fair.
And when I get too drunk, my friends say, "Are you Juicy James right now?" Because there was years ago, I went to a Juicy J concert, and I did get too drunk. I got so drunk that on our way to the concert, I was like, "Are we going to the after party right now?" And my friends were like, "We haven't even been to the concert yet." And I was that drunk because I drank this Bison Grass vodka. Have you ever had that?
No.
And it was strong, but I drank like half a 26er before I even got there. I was so drunk at the concert that it was at Government where they had like upstairs and downstairs. And when I was going downstairs, I was like falling down the stairs, slid down the stairs on my ass, went to the bathroom. I'm pissing in one urinal. I'm throwing up in the one next to it. And I'm thinking in my head, why aren't they kicking me out right now?
That's crazy.
It was crazy. But I clocked back in right in time for Juicy J to hit the stage, and boy, did he put on a great performance. Mm-hmm. Juicy J, a lot of people don't understand why I say he's one of the best rappers, but last year he put out 5 albums. No one's working harder than Juicy J.
I didn't even know he put up 5 albums.
Most people don't know that.
He used to work hard on that promotion.
No, I am his promotion. Whenever Juicy J drops an album, you'll see every clip that I post that weekend of me on stage has a Juicy J song to go with it.
I'll make note of that next time I see you post a clip.
Check out Mental Trillness too. That was out of all his albums last year. That was my favorite one. He actually put out a jazz album too. Anyways, this is not the Juicy James Show. I don't know. What you guys, hey, you 4 listeners, you let me know what you're thinking. For the first time ever, I'm stepping up my game because my quality always sucks. So it's time to step it up. And by doing that, I've brought on a producer. Welcome to the show, Danté. That's his peace sign. I threw up. Put your head in there if you want. Show the people what we're working with here.
That's good.
I threw up the gunshots for you. Let me throw up a fucking air horn for you too. He just told me right before we started recording that we have the option for half the sound effects. Mm-hmm. So let's do that. That's cool. Yep. Yeah, you pressed record, right? Yep. Hey,
don't scare me like that.
I had a nightmare last night about you recording the thing, and for some reason the camera was like off a little bit, and you're like, oh, I couldn't upload it because the camera was off or something like that. And I was like, man, that sucks, because that's something I would do without a producer.
No, I do that. I'm not a perfect human being. What was that sound? Was that you or me?
It sounded like the computer.
Okay. Anyways, I'm not a perfect producer, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And I'm not a perfect human, but I try my best.
Hey,
you
that's
know what I mean?
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
I'm just doing my best. That's the merch that I sell on tour, actually. I sell pins that say I'm just doing my best because my mom was telling me that she was bragging about me to her friends. And I'm like, I have no job. I have no money. What are you bragging about? And she's like, you're just out there doing your best, which I am.
Yeah.
Which sometimes isn't good enough, but we're going to see 2025, new year, new me. Let's go.
Yeah.
But people like that. That pin, it's pay whatever you want. I still got a couple left if anyone's interested.
Yep.
And at the end of the shows when I'm on tour, I go, all right, guys, I got one pin that says I'm just doing my best, and I got another one that says I don't have any change because I don't have any change. So just give me whatever you want, but I don't have any change. And the record for how much someone's paid, do you want to take a guess? For one pin?
For one pin, $75.
Oh, man, that'd be great. $30.
Okay.
I was on tour opening up for a boss, and this guy that had seen me there when I was headlining last year at a show in Kamloops, he came out to support, again, great guy, and he gave me a $50 bill, but he's like, I need 20 back to buy one of a boss's posters. And I was like, fair enough. Everyone's getting love tonight. You know what I mean?
That's fire.
All the boys are eating tonight. Also, I'll shout out a boss right off the top. You also produce a show for him.
Yeah.
And in that same city, one thing that a boss has told me is when he eats good, everyone on the show eats good. You know what I mean? So if he sells a lot of tickets, everyone gets paid a little more. And my Kamloops show when I headlined out there was the first show that I had where I sold out and made a lot of money. So I paid all the openers more, and I said, you can thank Abbas Wahab for that. And pay it forward. You know, I'm blessed to have a friend like that to learn from.
Yes.
And for all you out there, there's so many scummy people in comedy that fuck you over on money. Sometimes they don't pay you at all.
Yep.
Sometimes they sell out and they don't pay you at all.
That's crazy.
You know, and that is just part of the game. But there is a couple of good guys like that, and it's good to learn from that and pay it forward. So
honestly, Abbas is like, he's the whole reason how I even got my foot in the door producing for comedians.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Because I was listening to his podcast when he was doing it himself, and on the podcast he's like, "Man, I need a producer." So I just slid in the DMs. This was like 2.5 years ago.
This is before you even touched the mic doing comedy.
I touched a mic once.
Okay.
And then I took like a year off. But so I reached out to him. I'm like, yo, I can produce, because I'd produced my podcast. I'd been doing a radio show as well. And I'm like, yo, let me produce your podcast. He had like a whole interview process, and like then I started producing for him, and then through him I met Zeus, and then through him I met you as well. So like,
yeah. Shout out to Black Zeus too. You do a lot of work for him. The Black Zeus podcast, that's what that's called.
Yep.
And it's just the Abbas Wahab show.
Yep.
Abbas was telling me, just call it your name, but I don't know. I'm just calling it the James Cumins show. Just doesn't seem right to me. I'm a guy that loves puns. I need to hammer a pun in there some way or one way or another.
I like puns too, and I also like alliterations. So like, if you can do a double J or a double C or something.
But not Juicy James apparently.
I don't know. Just Juicy James is a little bit weird. I don't know.
You think it sounds sus, and by sus you mean gay?
No, I mean sus.
What's the difference between sus and gay?
Okay, gay is confirmed gay. Sus is like, it's not confirmed that you're gay, but there's a suspicion behind it.
Well, so far I don't think there's been any suspicions in my life, but have people called me gay for jokes? Yeah, sure. So 2025, everyone's like, hey, let's get this year going and everything, but I got off to such a slow start because I was sick for the first couple of days. And I gotta say, at the end of December, I was feeling good. I'm like, 2025 is going to be the best year of my life. We're going to make big moves. It's going to be great. And then I got sick for 3 days, laid in bed for 3 days. And lying down for too long can really make you sad. It can really make you sad. Like, just because you need to move.
You need to move.
If you ain't up and moving, it really sucks. And then I do have a couple, like, problems going on right now. I don't know if you've ever had to go through insurance for anything. I had a little accident.
Okay.
And mechanics, known scumbags, right? So I bring my car to a mechanic, and my insurance wanted me to tow it somewhere else, but this mechanic was like, "No, please leave it with me." You know, he told me some things that made me want to keep it with him. I'm not going to get too into it, but all I have to say is I kept it with this guy. I get the car back, and the dent is fixed, but the first day I'm driving it, and like every light on the dashboard is on.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, yo, I called him. I'm like, this does not seem fixed. I sent him a picture. I'm like, this does not seem fixed. And he's like, oh, I don't know. The check engine light, like that was on when you brought it to me. I'm like, so why didn't you check the engine?
Yeah.
What the hell? And he's like, I don't fix engines, I fix bodies. So he convinced me to keep it with him so he can cash this check from insurance, but then he didn't fix the car.
Yeah. Well, he fixed outside.
He fixed the outside. From the outside, it's great.
Yeah.
It's like a really pretty girl that has a bad personality. That's what my car is right now. On the outside, it looks great. And then you get inside and you're like, oh my goodness, this girl has a lot of problems.
Yeah.
She might kill me. And that's what my car felt like when I was driving it for the first time on the highway and the oil light came on and it starts making like, like really loud rattling. So I got really like, it was upsetting having all this happen. And it's been a bad start to the year. It's put me in a bad place. And then being sitting, lying down for 3 days, that was a bad start. And I also, because I was sick, I'm like, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke. I haven't taken a break from smoking and drinking in a long time. So we're 7 days into January. And I'd say by the 5th, 6th day, I started getting depressed.
Really?
Depressed. Like, I don't know if it was withdrawal symptoms or what, but emotionally out of whack.
Interesting.
Actually... I like, this might not be a big deal to some people, but I cried on Monday.
People cry, man.
People cry, but I've probably cried 3 times in the last 15 years, and the other times I had legit reasons to. This time I was just overwhelmed by emotion. I started crying, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Well, maybe that's why, because the dam has been building up. You know what I mean? If it's only been 3 times in the last 15, Yeah, let some water out, my guy.
Maybe that's it. I was, my mom called me to like ask me what was going on with the car, and I started explaining to her, and I started crying, and she's like, "Are you crying right now?" And I'm like,
And
"Yeah, I don't know why."
light came on.
I was like, "I know it's nothing to cry about, but I'm crying." I talked to one of my friends that's a girl about it, Hannah Veldoon from the Menti Breaky podcast. She's like, "This is just being a woman. This is what being a woman is like all the time. We just cry when we get overwhelmed by emotions." I'm like, "So that's what being a woman is like. That's interesting." So, yeah, I started this year crying. Hey, I let the water out. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel good.
No,
some people say crying
better afterwards.
I don't know if I did. I guess in some ways I felt better afterwards, but I did have to just let it out. But man, yeah, mechanics, scumbags, man. Yeah. Scumbag profession. If you're a good mechanic, shout out to you. Love you. You know what I mean? We'll give you a little if you're a good mechanic. I don't know. I thought this guy was a good guy.
Yeah.
But they're very convincing sometimes.
They're professional convincers.
Oh my God.
They're like salesmen. You know
tow truck drivers. You ever had to deal with a tow truck driver?
No.
The last accident I got in probably like over 10 years ago, this tow truck driver picks me up and he's like, "Man, I got a great lawyer for you. I got into this thing. I was speeding. I was going 60 kilometers over the limit. I went to this lawyer and he made a deal where I just had to like pay for the police's like fundraiser or something and give them a donation, and I got off no problems." So I go to his lawyer. I go to this lawyer, and I don't remember the guy's name, but when we went to court, first of all, the guy was late.
Oh my God.
He was late. Then Then he pokes his head into the court. He looks at the judge and he goes, "Oh, no, no, no." And he starts slapping his head. And I'm like, "What is going on right now?" And he's like, "That's the hanging judge." He's like, we're fucked. We're fucked. So I got screwed by this tow truck guy probably just gets a kickback from this shit lawyer.
Probably.
And I oh man, I wish I remembered his name. I would give him a bad review on this.
No.
What the hell? It comes late and starts slapping his head when he sees who the judge is. It was like a cartoon.
In the courtroom is crazy.
He's like, "We got to settle." I'm like, "Okay, I could have done that myself. I paid this guy $600 to just tell me we got to settle."
You paid him $600 and then you had to pay more because of the speeding.
It wasn't even speeding. Mine wasn't speeding. Mine was an accident. Mine was, I was at a road where I'm at a stop sign and there's a through road going through, and I'm waiting to go across for so long, and the person that's turning left into the road that I am, they wave me through. They're like, "Get on through, buddy."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "All right, sick." I go through, and then somebody else was speeding down, and I just got clapped. And everyone was safe, thank God. Yeah. Like, it would have sucked if somebody got hurt, but the car got hurt, and so did theirs, and so did I.
Yeah. When
I had to go to court with a shit lawyer. But yeah, emotions are running high this year. Talking to my friend about girls crying all the time, it made me think about that girl that had sex with 100 men, right?
Oh, yes.
Lily Phillips.
I've seen that.
And I saw something about her crying after, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that's like a pretty traumatic thing to go through, even though like you're doing it for your OnlyFans or whatever it is to make money, like putting your body through that, sad. But then I saw an extended clip of why she was crying. Did you see why she was crying?
I watched a whole thing on it.
So she was crying because she didn't make every guy come.
Not only that, she was also crying because some guys got more time than the other guys. So she felt like she was cheating her fans.
Yeah. She's like, "I told everyone I was going to give them 5 minutes. Some guys only got 3 minutes." Man, if I had to cry every time I went to make a girl come, I wouldn't be backed up at all with tears. I'd be crying a lot. I try to make girls come, but every girl's different, you know? And it's hard out there for a pimp when you're trying to get that money for the rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what they said in Hustle and Flow, which was Juicy J's Academy Award winning. He won an Academy Award for that.
Where's your Juicy J poster? I don't see it here.
I don't have a Juicy J poster.
Do you have a record up here?
No.
You got to put one up. Dude.
I do. You're right. I should get. So I have Pulp Fiction over here. I should get Juicy J right here. I don't want to cover up Mike Thriller. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who you would take down, but you got to put up maybe a Juicy J like little statue or something.
A statue of Juicy. I get Juicy J's Academy Award and just 3-6 Mafia on there. Juicy J's older brother, Project Pat. He just became a pastor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their dad's a preacher.
He just released some new music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on my Spotify.
Is he talking about God?
I don't know. I skipped it.
You skipped it.
I started. I'm like, oh, Project Pat. Okay, next.
Fair enough. I wouldn't skip Project Pat. Memphis rap is so underrated to me. I love Memphis rap.
Same.
It's there's some new guys. There's a guy named I Don't Know Geoffrey. Have you heard of this guy?
No.
Well, not many people have because his name's
know.
I Don't Know Geoffrey. I like the humbleness of that name, but yeah, if you hear him rap, oh man, they put a lot of comedy into their rap in Memphis.
Okay.
He has one lyric that I don't even know if I can. You know what? We're only 15 minutes in. It has a lot of swearing in it. I won't even say it. Because what's the thing with the algorithm? You have to wait like 20 minutes before you start swearing.
Yeah, that's you try to do that.
You try to do that.
Yeah. It's hard with Zeus. He comes in swearing off the top.
I think I already said the F word, but I don't know. I who cares, I guess, because I'm not going to get paid for this episode.
Not this one, but you want to set a nice standard. You do a whole bunch of episodes. You get sponsors. People are like, I want to be an Uncut Jam. And then they...
Yeah. Okay. Well, check out the song "I Don't Open Doors" by I Don't Know Geoffrey. I'm gonna shout out to him. He has a lyric about cussing, about how much he likes to cuss, and then he just starts saying cuss words. And one of the cuss words he says is Hitler, which I've never even thought of as a cuss word, but it is. It stirs up bad feelings.
True.
And he closes it out with the F word, not the Fuck, but the other one.
The other one.
And he rhymes it with "Full House of Hoes" like I'm Bob Saget, which I like. Yeah, a lot of comedy in their lyrics. Juicy J, hilarious rapper. He has one line that I'll always remember. He says, "She say she on her period. I ain't hearing it. Throw a rubber on. I ain't fearing it." Just funny stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Good stuff. One of the sound effects I have on here is Gucci Man's Burr. And he has one line. Now I'm just talking about rap lyrics, but he has one where he goes, "Yeah, used to be my favorite word. Now my ice game is superb. So them hoes just be like, burr, burr. So I like that, you know? I'm just talking about lyrics that I like now. Fun facts, you know? I'm a sucker for fun facts. Before I get off the topic of how bad a mood I was in to start this year, that day where I was crying on the phone to my mom, this also happened. So you ever get spam credit card calls? Credit card, they're like, maybe not spam, but they're calling from the bank. They're like, "Oh, we want to offer you this new service."
Yeah.
So I got a call like that on Monday morning. "Oh, we want to offer you this new service." And I was trying to hear her out, even though I was in a bad mood. I was like, all right. But then eventually I'm like, I don't want it. And then she's like, "Oh, but you could do this and that." I'm like, I don't want it. "Oh, but you could do this and that." I'm like, "Miss, I'm sorry. I am not interested." And I just had to hang up on it, right? About an hour later, I thought I got a call from the same person. And I answered the phone and I go, Yeah, no, I already talked to you. I'm not interested. And they go, "Oh, you did? Who'd you talk to?" And I was like, "Your credit card people. I don't want it." And then this lady's like, "This is about a job, but okay, bye." And she just hung up on me because she's probably like, "We don't want this asshole working with us."
That's crazy.
But let that be a lesson to everyone out there. Just slow down. If you're in a bad mood, like, don't take it out on the next guy. And I did that day, and now I lost the opportunity for a job, which I probably didn't need this job, but I was just applying to jobs. Sometimes, like, you're just like, screw it.
Yeah.
I'll just apply to a job, whether I need it or not. I have a couple cash jobs on the side of comedy, which are good. They go along good with it, but it's nice to have a little more money, a little more stability.
Yep.
So I threw that out there, and then I just snubbed them when they called me. So. Yeah,
snubbing yourself too.
You snubbed yourself. Yeah, sometimes you played yourself. I played myself.
Played yourself.
I didn't mean to, but yeah. You have any questions about what we have on the desk here, Danté?
What is this?
Molly Malone. This is Molly Malone. This is a famous story from Ireland, in old Dublin City, where the girls are so pretty. I first set my eyes on fair Molly Malone, and here's the thing: she used to sell oysters and different seafood on the pier, you know? And it's not that she had the best oysters or the best, you know, whatever, shuckles. What do they call them? I don't know. There's oysters and shuckles. Anyways, she sold some seafood stuff. But the thing is, what she did was she had tits. And that's what really drew people in. So there's this statue of her, tits out. These are empty. She's sold out.
She's sold
because
out.
everyone comes to her and they're like, let's get First of all, let me get a look at those tits, and then I'm gonna buy some seafood off you. What's that smell?
Yeah.
Right? Not her pussy, I hope. But she was famous. The thing is, people don't even know if she actually existed, but there's a statue of her in Ireland. Ireland, they put up statues of everything.
How old is the statue? Do you know?
Ooh, good question.
What era
Don't
is
know.
that?
Long time ago. I would say 1800s.
1800s. Okay.
Yeah.
How old is Ireland? I don't even know.
I wish I knew. I know that they fought. I know there's a song where they're like, England, they came over and tried to take over, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a song called You'll Never Beat the Irish. And one of the lines is like, for 800 years we fought you without fear, and we'll fight you for 800 more. So I know at least 800 years they were fighting England. So that tends to say that there was even longer ago.
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not a history expert, but I have heard songs.
Okay. Well, a lot of the songs carry the history.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, one of the things I like about like those kind of folk tales is that like the whole point of them is to hold the history in the song. You know what I mean? So even if you don't know the history, but you know the song, you know the history.
Yeah.
Without knowing it.
Yeah, it's true. So and the victors always write the history.
That is also true.
You don't hear a lot of songs about people that lost because they're dead.
Because they're dead.
And they didn't get to release the track.
Very true.
Even though when we look back on the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef, we'll still be able to listen to Family Matters.
Do you like who do you think won?
Well, I think
Who's the victor?
In that situation, it seems like Kendrick won. But in my opinion, who made the best sounding song? I like you know how Family Matters, it has like 3 different beats in it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The third beat in that, I want to extract that and just play that song a lot. Like if I could play one song out of the whole beef, I know everyone not like us, they go crazy about it.
Yeah.
But that Family Matters, that third verse, I love that. Like I think they sampled the thong song in it.
I'll have to go back and hear it.
It sounds like that part of the thong song.
Yeah.
And Kendrick just opened his mouth. Somebody give him a Grammy right now.
Yeah. Oh yes, I know which one you're talking about.
That one's probably so. Like, what song do I like to listen to the most? That one, but it's hard not to say that Kendrick won. I'm sorry, Drake, man. I am Drake. I heard you've been hanging around comedy clubs and stuff. Like, you're a Toronto legend. Like, I'm not trying to shit on Drake on my first episode of my podcast that no one's listening to. But if it gets back to Drake, know this: Family Matters was the best sounding song. And I know a thing or two about music. That's I mean, have I not talked a lot about it?
No,
do I not have a bunch of records behind me?
Are there records in there, or are they just the cover?
I have all the records in a case because sometimes I still play them, but there's a lot going on back here. I haven't listened to every one of them because I probably put them on, but not top to bottom,
Yeah.
Are you a big music guy?
I like music. I like what I like. You know what I mean? And it's like a wide range. Like it's like an eclectic collection of different sounds. But lately, I've had West Side Gun on repeat. I don't know. Do you know who West Side Gun is?
Is he? He's one of Griselda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all of Griselda's been on repeat for the most part, but West Side Gun.
I really like Conway the Machine.
Yep.
Man got shot in the face, and it just makes him look like a rapper all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just having that screw face all the time. Like I like seeing his freestyles, and when they do those freestyles on like a radio show, like are they really freestyles or are they pre-written?
Sometimes they're freestyles, and sometimes they're pre-written. And I also learned that they give you grace if it's a pre-written,
right?
But you're doing it to like a different beat, right? So you can have like a pre-written verse, but it's like, can you do that verse on this beat?
Right.
And then that's still considered a freestyle. But like growing up, I always thought freestyle was like off the top.
I always thought that too.
You know what I mean?
And I remember one time, I used to be like decent at freestyling. I still do once in a while now. Like on Wheel of Comedy, we have a freestyle section, but I find like I'm not as good as I used to be. And I think
it's a muscle you got to work on.
It is a muscle you got to work on. And also, like, when I freestyle, or at least back in the day, I used to, 90% of the stuff I'm rapping about is pussy. And that just doesn't translate to a comedy show as well. When I'm supposed to be like making fun of the guy or whatever, and I can't just be like talking about like all these bitches and shit, you know?
What if he's a bitch?
What if he's a bitch? And I rap about how I'm gonna fuck him. No, that's sus.
That is sus.
That's more than sus. That's sus plus. But one time, I was at a party, and I was drunk. And guys were freestyling, and I remember being like, "Oh, I'm gonna freestyle," but I'm so drunk that I'm like, I don't know if I can go off the top. I might have to use some lyrics that I've used before.
Okay.
And it was like something like, I got a whole bunch of bitches, one mowing the lawn, one doing the dishes. Anyways, that's how it started and went off, blah blah blah. And everyone was like, "Oh shit!" You know, it was actually good. I got well received.
Yeah.
People were thinking, "This guy can rap."
This guy can rap. This guy's got bars.
But then about 15 minutes later, you know, new beats on, it's coming around, my turn in the circle again. And I had forgot that I already rapped what I rapped.
No.
And I was like, and I went back to like talking about a girl mowing the lawn again. And they're like, this guy, all he raps about is girls mowing his lawn. What the hell? So yeah, I think it's better to just go off the top and not try and do the pre-writtens unless you're like a rapper like that like has like a big catalog of raps. Me, I got like 4 different raps that I could go back to.
Well, there are like rappers that are really good freestylers, right? And there are also rappers that rap, but then they can't freestyle, but then they'll be on a freestyle show, but it's like pre-written stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and then you'll see like, oh, like do an actual freestyle. And it's just like, you know, one of those kind of freestyles you'll do with the boys is not real good. Like you'd be like, oh, look at that wall, that chick's tall, you know, something not good. But then when they say it's a freestyle, also when I see a song that says this is the da-da-da freestyle, I'm like, how's it a freestyle if it's like recorded? You know what I mean? Like, is this in the booth or did they pre-write it and then call it a freestyle? Or
well, you can
did they
record
freestyle it before and then they're like, oh, okay, let me now take this freestyle and do it in the booth?
Yeah, I think there is some like that, but there is some guys that are just sick at freestyling.
For sure.
There was remember Freestyle Friday, right? This is before your time, maybe? How old are you?
I'm 27.
27. So there used to be Freestyle Friday on 106 in Park on BET, but then they also like did it in Much Music for a little bit when they brought Rap City back. And I know 2 guys that if you win 7 weeks in a row, they kind of like retire your thing. Okay. And I know 2 guys that won. One is my buddy that I went to college with, Jake DeLarge, and then another guy is my friend's nephew, who I forget his rap name. Sorry, but he did good too. But one time we would go and like show up for, you know, our friends and just hype them up and shit. And one time I got there and there was a guy from my high school that my friend's nephew was facing. And he's like, oh, you came to support me? I'm like, nah, I came to support the other guy, yo. My bad. So, yeah, that was awkward for that guy, I guess.
Did he win or lose?
Well, my friend's nephew won. He won 7 weeks in a row and they retired. Yeah. I've only supported winners at Freestyle Friday. Just guys that are killing it on the mic. Freestyling is cool. Animals are cool. I had some animal facts that I wanted to talk about today.
Okay, sick.
If we're not laughing, we're learning here, you know?
I'm cool with that.
I like
to learn.
I matched with a girl on Hinge, and one of her prompts was like, if elephants chase us, we have to get naked, right? We have to take our clothes off. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I was like, why is that a thing? So I found out why it's a thing. And it's not just like elephants aren't chasing you and they're like so horny that they're like, hey, get naked or I'm going to kill you. What it is they're very like smell based. They have those big trunks, you know what I mean? A lot of smell. And if you take your shirt off, let's say, they'll stop and give your shirt like a good sniff and start destroying your shirt before they come destroy you. So you kind of don't take everything off at once in one place. You want to tease them a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Don't be a whore. Elephants don't want you to be a whore. Then they just go through your clothes quick and then they come get you. What you want to do, take off a shirt, take off a sock, one at a time.
How do you take off a sock while you're running? Especially if you're getting chased by an elephant.
That's a good point. How do you take off, like pretty much the top stuff you can take off while you're running, but everything
better be layered if you're running from an animal.
And the chances that you're layered up in a place where elephants are, I might only be wearing a wife beater.
Exactly.
So I'm going to have to really make a show of that wife beater and then give myself a chance to take my pants off.
Yeah. You
And
can
then-
maybe kick off a shoe,
Yeah.
you know, like as you're running.
But you want your shoes. You want your shoes for running.
Okay, so then if the wife beater's gone, what's next? The pants?
I guess
Or
so.
maybe a hat, but how do you take your pants off with the shoes still on?
And what hat do you like? A lot of my hats, I'm very attached to my hats more than I am my pants.
Yeah.
I'll give up more pants than I'll give up hats.
So,
Even though
but then to give up pants, you have to give up shoes.
you don't have to
Are
give
you
them up. You take them off and put them back on. But
Yeah, but you're being chased. You don't have time to put your shoes.
you wait. You give once the elephant stops to sniff your shirt up,
Yes.
that's when it's time to kind of like
You take your
you
shoes
gain a little
off,
ground.
and then you run with the shoes in your hand.
Yeah, then you have a little option to drop one at a time, different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just going out to anyone that's getting chased by an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got options.
Yeah.
Elephants, they seem pretty friendly though.
They can be.
They never forget though.
They never forget.
There was that story about that elephant that like somebody killed their kids, and then the elephant
Came back.
They killed their mom, I think, and then the elephant came back and destroyed that whole family. Like
Yeah,
I think
it was like a wedding or
they
something.
went to the wedding. Yeah, yeah. They're
like,
like
now's my chance.
they saw them. They saw them having a regular family get together, and they're like, "That's not big enough." They strolled by. They said, "I'm gonna wait till they get a little more family together before I really hurt them. You killed my mom. I have to kill everyone you know." So, elephants vengeful, spite. I like spite stories because spite has driven some people to do great things.
Yep.
Do you know the story about how DreamWorks Animation started?
No.
So there was a guy that was working for Disney, and he was killing it. Like he had his hand in making Aladdin, Lion King, like that 90s resurgence
Yeah.
of Disney. Like pretty much like everyone's favorite Disney movie came out during the time where this guy was working on it. Then Disney made Toy Story, or the Pixar. That was the new division, right?
Yeah.
And at this time, the number 2 guy at Disney, he died in a horrible plane crash. And the guy that was like responsible for making Lion King, Aladdin, all these things, he's like, I must be next in line to take over, that number 2 spot. Run Pixar. Pixar is going to be the next thing to blow up. They're going to choose me for sure. And they chose somebody else. And he got really upset about it. And he goes into the office of the higher ups being like, you messed up. Like, it should be me. How am I not getting this job? And he must have like talked so much shit to them that they fired him. But he was doing such a great job that he's like, this is wrong for me to get fired. So he sued Disney, and he got millions of dollars. And then he started up DreamWorks Animation.
Okay.
And he talked to his old friends at Disney, and he's like, what are you guys making? What's the next Pixar movie? And they said, it's about bugs. It's about ants. And he's like, fuck it, I'm going to make a movie about ants. And then he made Ants. And he made Ants come out before A Bug's Life. Even though it started production later, he made it come out before. And that's why Ants, the animation isn't great in it.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks. And he made a spite company.
Yeah.
Like DreamWorks, I think, existed making other movies, but the animation department, he's the one that started that up. And Ants, I've watched it back. It ain't no A Bug's Life. It ain't.
I don't remember either of them.
Okay, go back and watch A Bug's Life. Bug's Life is great. Bug's Life is so good. I mean, I rewatched it as an adult while I was on mushrooms, but it was so good that I was like, literally, I was putting my hand up, like blocking the screen, being like, this is so good that I can't even watch it
I'm
right
not
now.
worthy of watching this.
That's how I was like amazed by it. It was making me like, when you're on mushrooms, obviously everything's a little heightened.
Yes.
But I was like, man, this is an amazing movie. The Kevin Spacey plays the bad guy, the grasshopper, and say what you will about Kevin Spacey being a bad person, the guy can play a grasshopper.
Yeah.
He's basically like a gangster. The story in A Bug's Life is grasshoppers are like a motorcycle gang kind of thing that are like taxing the ants. Okay. Like they come down and like give us your, it's not money, whatever,
your crumbs,
whatever Bugs deal in. But he does a great job. And Ants is like, it was just made out of spite. They just, and the interesting thing about DreamWorks is after Ants, they were like, okay, hold on in computer animation because we ain't there yet. So then they circled back on regular cartoons, and they made like 2 kind of religious ones. One about what I forget what not the road. They did make the road to El Dorado, but it was something else.
Was it the Moses one or
a Moses one? Yeah, it was a Moses one. The Prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
They made the Prince of Egypt. So they had to go get in touch with God before they got back to computer animation. They're like, we made something out of spite. Hey, God, my bad. We'll do one for you now. and then what did they make next? They make like Shrek. Huge hit.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that this guy, like, he made a company out of spite, and then he's like, okay, let me get in touch with God for a second.
Yeah.
Now we can roll.
Now we're good.
Even though I'll say Pixar shits on DreamWorks when it comes to movies overall.
Who, what is that, like Monsters, Inc.,
Monsters, Inc., Toy Story, Finding Nemo, Coco. So much movies with heart. They got so much heart in them because they weren't made out of spite.
True.
Pixar has such a good formula.
Yeah.
And when you watch them on mushrooms,
You watch a lot of those movies on mushrooms?
Yeah, too many to be honest. One of my New Year's resolutions is to do less mushrooms because last year I was doing it I work at a mushroom shop, so I have access to these mushrooms that I shouldn't have. And then I'm just like, sometimes I'm home, the one night a week I'm home and I'm just like, you know what? I want to make a cartoon look cooler. Let me do mushrooms. And then next thing you know, I'm like battling my inner demons and I'm crushing my ego. And now my ego's so crushed that I'm like, I need a little ego. I can't have no ego, you know?
That's I do feel that. You do need a little bit of ego.
Yeah, you don't want to operate on no ego.
It's hard. Like, you can, but then what is ego and what is no ego? Right? Is your ego so high that you can say that I have no ego?
No, I don't think I have no ego, but I think I've done it. Last year was probably the most ego crushing year, and it's not because anything happened other than just doing mushrooms too much. It's not like things were happening in my life to crush my ego. It's I'm doing mushrooms and I'm going inside my mind where I'm like, I shouldn't go in all this time. And it's like, yeah, some of the cartoons were sick on mushrooms.
Yeah.
It's like,
have you watched Interstellar on mushrooms?
No, but I just watched Interstellar for the first time this weekend. So that's interesting that you brought that up. Why'd you bring up Interstellar? Just because of mushrooms?
Because it's one of the movies. I've done DMT.
Okay.
Right? And the scene where he goes into the black hole.
Right.
Spoiler alert. I know this movie's 10 years old. But there's a part where he's going in and then he ejects out of the seat. You remember that?
Yeah,
and then he's like breathing. He's like, that is the sound you hear when you take off on DMT. So I'm like, you're kind of like, what else are you trying to, like, what other movies have these DMT sounds in them or like experiences? Because I feel like they're trying to depict something important.
Oh, okay.
You know?
I didn't know that time. I've never done DMT and probably won't for a while at least. I'm trying to stay away from stuff like that for a little bit. But yeah, Interstellar, great movie. Oh my gosh. Movie. I didn't know it was going to be so emotional.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. One guy that I was working with, like on a podcast, I freaking, we were, you ever heard of We Funk Radio? You ever heard of it?
No.
It's like a radio station. Anyways, so they're playing and then they play the song when they're chasing the drone in the beginning through the cornfield. The song's called Cornfield Chase, but they're playing like a house version of it. Okay. Right? So it's like bounce. But then the guy's like, yo, turn this off. I can't. I'll think of my kids and I can't do that right now. Like it's such an emotional movie. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
definitely. About being a father. Oh, my goodness. I'm not a father, but when I was watching it, like okay, spoiler alert, like you said, like the movie came out 10 years ago and we're sorry for talking about it now. Like if you're like me, you haven't seen it until this weekend.
That's crazy.
Yeah. For years. So the guy goes away. He goes into space to save the world. And his son sends him messages, but his daughter, she was like maybe 10 years old when he left. And she really held a grudge against him for leaving. And she doesn't send him any messages. And the first time she sends him a message as an adult, I was ready to cry.
Yeah.
I didn't cry that day, but I was definitely feeling the emotions. I'm like, holy, like, you know, when you're like, oh my God, like it took my breath for a second. Yeah. And what an emotional journey that movie was. And there was points of it where I'm like, how is this going to end in a happy way? There's no way. Yeah. How could it? He's not making it back. And the way he makes it back doesn't really make sense, but
makes perfect sense.
Doesn't make sense?
Yeah, because he was spoiler alert, but he was the ghost.
Yeah, he was the ghost.
Right? So he sent himself on this mission knowing that he would get back. So it was always going to be a happy ending.
He's trying to tell himself to stay and not leave during that.
I know, but then he does the thing, the Morse code.
Yeah.
And then that's what allows them to live longer in the space station and all that stuff.
Wild.
Yeah, and then his daughter's like, no father should have to see their child die. Because then she has like this crazy big family and stuff. So yeah, great movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. When he finally makes it back and the daughter's old now.
Yeah.
And he's like, How'd you know? And she's like, 'cause my daddy promised. And I was like,
Bars.
Crazy. If you haven't seen Interstellar, go watch it, even though we just ruined it for you.
Yeah.
And if you haven't heard Gello, Leangelo Ball's new song, check that out too. I gotta say, this guy, oh my goodness. For those of you that don't know, there's the Ball brothers. There's Lonzo, Leangelo, and LaMelo. And their dad, he built them all to be great basketball players. And two of them are thriving in the NBA. One of them's doing really great in the NBA. One's doing all right. And Leangelo did make it, but he was kind of like the disappointing brother. Like, people were like, and he's the middle child too. He's the middle child. And people were looking at him like, yeah, that sucks that you're the one guy that isn't good in the league. Like, that's tough for him. But now, a couple years later, as his brothers are thriving, he decides, I'm going to drop a fire track. You know? I might swerve, bend that corner, whoa. And everyone's bumping it. Like, I Detroit Lions in a football, after they won their game on Sunday and they won the division, they won the whole conference, they're bumping it in their locker room. Obviously, a bunch of NBA players are, because he was in the league and his brothers are in the league. Like, people are talking about it. Yeah. It's just really cool to see a guy. That's one that wasn't out of spite. That was just, he's like, all right,
something.
I'm not a basketball player. Let me hit the studio. Mm-hmm. And he drops a hit. And the song sounds kind of like very like 2000s-y.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like new rap.
No.
But I mean, I'm a guy that I'm old enough to appreciate that. And it seems like a lot of people are. So
that's also probably why it's taken off the way it is, because it doesn't really sound like any of the new stuff, right? It sounds like that era. It sounds like the Juicy J era, basically. So all these guys are like, yeah, this we need more of this sound.
Right.
That's why it's bumping.
I wouldn't say it sounds like Juicy J type stuff, but you know what?
The era.
The era, but the kind of stuff that it reminds me of is like the old Cash Money, like Birdman and Manny Fresh. Like, it sounds like a Manny Fresh type beat.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to just, I mean, enough people know about it, but I just think it's a cool story that this guy, when you chase a dream, like playing basketball and your whole family, it was a family dream.
Yeah.
His dad started this dream before they were even born. He found a woman that he's like, she's going to make tall, athletic babies with me, and we're going to train them to be great basketball players. And there was so much hype around Lonzo Ball coming in the league. And then LaMelo ends up probably being the best one, but then Leangelo just falls off. And this was a dream that he's been chasing since before he was born. His dad put this dream in front of him. His dad didn't say, I'm going to fuck this poet and because she's good at rhyming.
Yeah.
And then we're going to make my kid a good rapper.
Yeah.
But he found his own way. And that's the kind of thing, 2025. Hey, maybe you shoot for a dream and you miss. Start rapping. Rap about it. And then maybe that'll work out for you. The point is, just try this year,
Yep.
We're going to try. We're going to put that effort in 2025. If podcasting doesn't work out, maybe something else will. I don't know. But
well, if you can freestyle,
yeah.
Set. You just drop a freestyle.
I think I might drop a track this year.
Yeah.
I don't know. My friends, so I used to DJ for some rappers, Stay Out Late, and they're still doing good. Charlie Noir has a bunch of songs that are, one was in like the Sylvester Stallone show. Like they're getting good radio play. Scotty IV, Scott Free. These guys are still making music. Check them out on Spotify and stuff. And they just bought a studio because they were doing good. So I went and visited the studio just to have some drinks and eat some pizza and like chill with them, whatever, and listen to some new tracks that they're dropping. But I was looking at that studio like, I should drop a track this year.
You should. The song should be "Studios Call My Name."
Studios calling my name. My name is. It's saying, "Get in here, James. We ain't playing no games. Ain't doing it for the fames. Come on, stop being lame." I don't know. All right, this isn't gonna be the song, but yeah, you guys get the point. We're just try this year. Yep. Jessica Alba's single now, so am I. What are the odds? You know what I mean? Maybe me and her are going to hook up this year. Who knows? The possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
What up, ladies? What up, dogs? This goes out to all my sweet baby girls out there and to all my dogs. Thanks for listening to the podcast. That was episode 1. It was fun. Yeah. I think it was a little all over the place. The direction, who knows what this is going to be about, really. I talked about rap. I talked about animals, and I talked about movies.
Yeah.
And if you weren't laughing, I hope you learned something. And at the very least, if you stayed to the end, you had this inspiring story about LiAngelo Ball. Check out his song "Tweaker."
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
Dang. Should we call like "Swerve in That Corner" or something? He's gonna have to change the name.
Well, he talks about how he's kind of like, okay, let me just pull up the lyrics for that song, because it is like I don't really get what that song's about. Do you?
No, I only know that one part, and it's stuck in my head.
I might swerve, bend that corner, whoa, bitch, hold on tight, cause I tweak in this bitch. Start letting shit go. So I think he's being like, does that mean like he might start shooting?
Or it means he's opening up the floodgates, because if you're tweaking, maybe because his mental state's a little bit off because he's not in the league no more. So he's a little bit riled up. So maybe swerve bend that corner means like he's not going to be playing it as safe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because he says, bitch, hold on tight. Because I tweak in this bitch, start letting shit go. And I heard that she want to show me who she be. I'm kind of fucking with it, so show me some mo. So he's like, I'm kind of fucking with what she's showing me. She's showing me a little bit, and I'm fucking with it.
Yep.
I might want to learn a little bit more about this bitch. You know what I mean? That's what he's saying. I don't think women are bitches. I think they're great. But like sometimes the word bitch is fun to say.
Yeah.
You know? I love bitches.
Yeah.
I love bitches. And that's where we're going to leave this. Shout out to all the bitches out there, the sweet baby girls, all the dogs. Ho, ho. Thanks for producing this podcast for me, Danté.
No problem.
Do you want to shout out your handle or anything?
Yeah. Follow me online at Shadante, CheZDANTE. Follow your boy.
And that means like House of Danté, right?
It means at Dante's.
Oh, fair enough.
That was the name of my podcast.
And you don't do that anymore?
I'm too busy doing other podcasts.
Hell yeah, you are. And we're going to keep him busy this year. And guys, oh my goodness, I forgot to say, I should have said this earlier. I'm spending money on this podcast now. So what I need is more money, and I don't make enough of it. I'm screwing myself over, but when jobs call me, I'm like, I don't want the credit card. And they're like, okay, well, you're not getting the job then. The point is, if you want to send me money, you can send it to helpjamout@gmail.com. Just e-transfer me.
Yep.
HELPJAMOUT. HELPJAMOUT@gmail.com. Help Jam Out. Send me e-transfers.
Yeah. And we have sponsorship slots open as well.
Okay.
If you want a pre-roll, a mid-roll, or post-show roll, let us know. 30 seconds, 1 minute.
Hell yeah.
We'll work something out.
Gotta make that cash. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Peace.